What's up, everybody? My name's T Greene, and I want to welcome you to Gun Lounge TV. This is a new YouTube channel for me, actually my first YouTube channel ever. So I figured I'd start it off by talking about things that I enjoy, which are firearms, guns. So hope you enjoy the content. Going to kind of grow it as I go along in my journey. This is all a journey for me as I learn more about firearms and how to put them together in different mechanisms and different, triggers and scopes and stuff like that. I hope that I can impart some of that knowledge that I gain along the way onto anyone that's willing to listen, and hopefully you can grow along with me as I go along this journey. So yeah, first things first, I want to talk about, I'm going to treat this as though I'm talking to people who aren't really familiar with firearms, that maybe you just bought your first gun, maybe you own your gun, but you've never really shot much, or you don't really know much about firearms altogether. I'm going to just share with you initially today the 4 basic rules of gun safety. Now, I'm pretty sure you can break off and go deeper into these 4 rules, but we're just going to cover just the basic 4 rules. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the gun that I'm going to be using to demonstrate today is my Ruger SR9C. I really enjoy this firearm. It's been very good to me. So this is a simple striker fired pistol, 9mm pistol, and it is a recoil operated, right? As opposed to, I guess, like a blowback operation. You can tell the difference because typically with recoil operated firearms, the barrel is tilted up when you pull the slide, when you lock the slide back. On a blowback pistol, this barrel will be connected to the frame of the firearm. All right, and typically the only guns that you're going to see with that blowback design are going to be high points. Those are the only ones I know. I mean, let me know in the comments below if there are any. I think in Walthers, I think there are a few others, but typically they're made, the blowback design is made for lower pressure cartridges and lower, smaller rounds, like your 380s and stuff like that, right? High point, that's why high points have such large slides. You see them there, their slides are extremely massive. They're very bulky firearms. So they have those bulky firearms because it has to have a certain amount of weight to operate it. I'll go deeper into that at a later video, but that's just to let you know. Typically, most firearms that you're going to purchase from a gun store, pawn shop, wherever, they're going to be your recoil operated firearms like this. And if I'm not mistaken, this is specifically called a locked breech design. So, but most firearms that you purchase, they're going to be like this. All right. So there's that. Rule number 1. Okay. So you always want to consider any firearm that you're handling to be loaded until you know otherwise. All right. So like I said, this is my Ruger SR9C. First thing that I am going to do with this firearm is drop the magazine and see if there are any rounds in said magazine. All right. Obviously there are none in here because I'm doing a YouTube video and it would be negligent of me to have a loaded firearm. So I'm just, if there are rounds in the magazine, okay, that's fine. We want to make sure that there are no rounds inside the pistol. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the slide back and lock it into place. Check in the mag well, make sure that there are no rounds in this area, and physically with our finger, check and make sure that there are no rounds in the barrel either. All right. After you do that, you are good to go to rule number 2. All right, rule number two. Rule number two is fairly simple as well, all right? Never let the muzzle is here right at the end, the business end of the firearm. Never let the muzzle cover or go across, point at anything that you are not willing to destroy or not ready to destroy, all right? Bullets put holes in things, if you didn't know that already, right? So if you're not willing to put a hole in something, don't point the muzzle at it, right? So again, this is just good practices. You want to practice this stuff whether you're at the range or whether you're at home, it doesn't matter, right? So rule number two, make sure that you never point the muzzle or the business end of the firearm at anything you are not willing to put a hole in or to destroy. All right. Rule number three. Okay. Keep your finger off the trigger. I know that sounds simple, but that is a very important. I feel like that is probably one of the most important, or maybe the most important of the 4 rules, is keeping your finger off of the trigger. All right. So there's nothing that frustrates responsible gun owners more than seeing someone at the gun range or wherever you are, and the person holding a firearm with their finger here in the trigger guard. All right. So until you are ready to put a hole in something, rule number 2, right? Keep your finger off the trigger. All right. Typically what you want to do is you want to rest your finger on the side of the firearm. And once you have your target in your sights and you are ready to put a hole in said target, then you will put your finger on the trigger and you'll pull it and make the gun go bang. All right. That is very important. All right. Keep your finger off the trigger. All right. And rule number 4 is very simple, right? Rule number 4 is just knowing your target and what is beyond your target. All right. So whenever you're shooting, you want to know if my bullet penetrates this target, goes through this target, what will be on the other side of that target. And you don't want it to be anything that you're willing to destroy or want to put a hole in, right? So just be aware of what you're shooting at. Be aware of what's on the other side of what you're shooting at, because bullets sometimes aren't stopped by the target that you're shooting at. So that is pretty much that on rule number 4. Fairly simple. All right, so just to recap, rule number 1, all firearms are considered loaded all the time. All right. Rule number 2, all right, never point the muzzle at anything that you don't want to put a hole in. All right. Rule number 3, keep your fingers off of the trigger. All right. You may know that your firearm is unloaded and that it's safe or whatnot. Other people don't. So when other people see you with your finger on the trigger, they're going to assume your gun is ready to go bang, and that is going to make a lot of people nervous. All right, there. Rule number 4, be sure of your target and know what's behind your target. All right, and that is pretty much that on that. All right, so I hope you guys have learned something. If you're new to firearms, I hope that was good. I hope that was hope that said that well enough and explained that well enough so that it you understand just the basic rules of safety. Of course, you want to practice safety whether you're at home, wherever you are with your firearm. So hopefully we can I plan to do more videos like that, not just on safety, but just in general, just firearms in general. I have some items that I purchased from different stores that I'm probably going to either review or just talk about. I'll talk a little bit about rifles, probably go a little bit more depth into some things about pistols, just to educate people. Also want to talk about other things too. This channel might not be primarily just for guns and firearms. Hopefully I can introduce some different topics on here as well. We'll probably also talk about gun laws and things like that too. But I in general want to talk about just sports and outdoor things because if you guys don't know, shooting is a sport. It's not just for protection, but it can be fun, right? And I think it's fun. I think it's very enjoyable to go out and feel the the power of a firearm, and the joy of getting a bullseye from 100 yards away or whatever, right? I think sometimes that is, people misjudge that about firearms, that it is considered a sport too. So I just look forward to some of that stuff. Please, if you guys don't mind, down at the bottom, this side or maybe this side, subscribe, follow, share this video with your friends. Would like to continue doing this, and I would like to see this channel grow. This is something that I really enjoy, so it would be nice to just kind of, continue to do it. So thank you guys again. Have a great day, evening or night, wherever you are, and I will see you.